If you've ever laid down a thick carpet of fresh wood chips in your garden, you've probably wondered the same thing all gardeners do. How long until this pile of chips actually turns into real soil? The truth is, it doesn't happen overnight. But when you track the fungal takeover, from pale yellow shreds of raw chips to dark black humus crawling with life, the transformation becomes one of the most fascinating and rewarding waiting games in gardening. Let's break down how this process unfolds, what conditions speed it up, and how you can manage wood chips so they become a powerhouse soil builder instead of a nitrogen thief. Wood chips begin as carbon-heavy material that resists decay. When you spread fresh chips, you're starting with a material that is extremely high in carbon and very low in nitrogen. Most chips have a carbon-to-nitrogen ratio anywhere from 300 to even 500 to 1. For context, ideal composting material hovers closer to 25 to 1 to 30 to 1. That huge imbalance is why wood chips resist rapid decomposition and why microbes struggle at first to get going. The initial stage can last anywhere from 6 months to a year depending on your climate. During this time, fungi become the key players. Unlike bacteria, fungi are specialists in breaking down lignin and cellulose, the tough compounds that make wood rigid. If you pull back wood chips a few months after they've been laid, you'll often see white threads running across the chips. These are fungal hyphae, the underground fibers that knit together into larger mycelium networks. This stage is critical because fungi unlock the carbon, start releasing nutrients, and set the stage for bacteria, worms, and other soil organisms to follow. Once mycelium takes hold, decomposition accelerates. In warm, moist conditions, you'll see chips begin to soften, darken, and crumble at the edges within the first year. The waiting game depends on moisture climate and layering. The timeline of chips turning into usable soil varies widely. In humid, warm regions with regular rainfall, wood chips can break down into rich humus in as little as 2 to 3 years. In dry or cold climates, the same process may take 5 to 7 years. To manage the waiting game, moisture is your ally. Dry chips sitting in full sun may stay intact for a decade. But if you mix chips into the soil surface, add nitrogen-rich materials like grass clippings or manure, or keep them damp with mulch layers, you shorten the process dramatically. For example, a mix of 2 parts wood chips to 1 part green material like fresh weeds or kitchen scraps encourages microbial balance. The chips still dominate, but nitrogen feeders prevent the pile from stalling. It's important to understand that chips used as surface mulch behave very differently from chips worked into the soil. On the surface, they primarily act as a slow blanket, feeding fungi from the top down. This is excellent for perennial beds, fruit trees, and paths. But if you mix chips directly into the soil, the microbes working to decompose them will temporarily tie up nitrogen, leaving vegetables starved in the first year or two. So the solution here is layering rather than mixing. You want to keep a top layer of chips and just let worms and fungi do their thing, carrying broken down particles into the soil naturally. Honestly, this method mirrors how forests actually build soil, with leaves and twigs breaking down from above. The visual transformation is, well, pretty unmistakable once the process is underway. Fresh chips are light, angular, and dry. But after a year, you'll notice softened edges, fungal streaks, and a darker color. By the second or third year, those chips crumble easily when pressed, and earthworms start showing up in the layer beneath. By year 3 to 5, depending on your conditions, you'll find almost no recognizable chips at all. Instead, you'll uncover this loose, black, crumbly layer of humus that smells sweet and earthy. And honestly, this is the moment when chips stop being just a mulch and become true soil. If your goal is usable soil faster, there are ways to push the process forward without disturbing the natural cycle. One proven method is to combine wood chips with nitrogen-rich manures, or even, diluted urine, which provides the missing nitrogen microbes crave. A practical ratio is 1 wheelbarrow of chips mixed with 1 bucket of fresh grass clippings or half a bucket of poultry manure. Another technique is building wood chip piles that mimic compost heaps, 3 feet wide and 3 feet tall, kept damp and turned every few months. This heats the pile and encourages microbial balance. Adding a shovel of finished compost on top of each new layer inoculates the chips with the very organisms that will digest them. For gardeners, the main challenge is impatience, but understanding that chips aren't wasted time helps. During the waiting years, they're still providing value, suppressing weeds, conserving moisture, and feeding fungi that establish long-term soil health. The process of watching raw chips transform is slow but foundational. Every layer of fungal threads, every softened chip, every worm tunneling underneath represents soil in the making. When the final black humus emerges, it's richer, more fungal, and a whole lot more moisture retentive than many commercial composts out there. So, how long until wood chips actually become soil? The realistic answer is anywhere from 2 to 7 years, depending on your climate, moisture, and how you manage them. With nitrogen additions, strategic layering, and, well, fungal encouragement, you can be closer to the 2 to 3 year end of the spectrum. Without intervention, the process leans toward the longer timeline. Either way, wood chips are a slow but steady investment. When used wisely, they not only build soil, but also transform the biology of your garden from the ground up. If this breakdown of the fungal takeover and the waiting game of wood chips gave you a clearer understanding of soil building, make sure to subscribe to Hydro Haven and share this with fellow gardeners. The more we spread these insights, the more gardens can benefit from nature's slow, steady magic of turning wood into soil.